So hello. So I was thinking about all the different religions, and I was thinking about how we have different worldviews when we have what it seems like we're all human beings with two hands, two legs, a head, and a trunk, and we have different versions of heaven and hell and earth and this place that we're living in. So when I was thinking about it, I figured it all seems like a Lego construct which has just been kind of put higgledy piggledy, and it's a bit like the blind men and the elephant. If you heard the story about the blind man and the elephant, where it is a story about pretty intelligent people. They are blindfolded and they are feeling different parts of a structure. They have no idea it's an elephant, and then because each of them is blindfolded, they name the object of what they're feeling, of what they are getting a sense of, by how it feels like in the hand. And to some it seems like a rope, to some it seems like a brick wall, some it seems different things. But nobody is able to put together that it's an elephant that they're feeling. It's the same thing that they're feeling different parts of, different aspects of. And a construct of reality seems to have come from these different blind, pretty intelligent people who have put together the construct based upon what they could feel. Okay? And so we have different kinds of religions. Now, sort of just kind of playfully just putting together the puzzle pieces of what it seems like, because it seems like there are different pieces of the puzzle, and we seem to be referring to the same thing. Everybody keeps saying there's only one God, and then we have so many religions and so many versions of it, and we are fighting about it. Didn't make sense. So it seemed like it's a big Lego piece that different people, have put together different ways. And what was really funny is, now I've been training to be a therapist, and my intention is, it's I'm a healer therapist. And one of the important things that I need to put together is to have a cohesive understanding of what reality is. Because if I'm trying to bring somebody to health, I need to have some semblance of an understanding of what is healthy, of what is wholesome, and what is that if somebody is suffering from something, that they need to come to say that, okay, now they're healed. What is it they healed of? So when I was putting together my own version of what reality is and what is health, I figured out that our construct of what is reality is pretty interesting. We think, and several religions also talk about this, that our version of heaven is people sitting in clouds playing harps and different kinds of instruments. And hell is where they're going through fire and different kinds of burnings and sufferings. And I've also heard about this thing of you going in a lift to go up to heaven, and you go down to hell. And where you are is somewhere in between, that we call as earth. Now this is pretty interesting, because for us to feel good, we need to go up, and to feel bad, we need to go down. Yeah. And somewhere in between, up and down, is where we call as this place called reality, where we need to suffer, and depending on what we do, we either go up or we go down. So everybody is very happy to go up. So there is ascension models. Okay. Now it seems very funny the way I'm putting it. I'm not mocking something, but I'm kind of amazed by how we have put together, and a majority of people from different groups seem to have come to a similar understanding of this. Now my concern with this is, why I'm speaking about this in these terms, is because there seems to be a difficulty to be on earth. Okay, so different people are trying out different things to go up, to go to heaven, and so it is always go up accent. Okay, and you become when you become spiritual people, you're kind of like more up, and when you are very earthy and to basic things, apparently you're too earthy. You're yet to develop so that you can be good enough to go to heaven. Now, there's a problem with this, and the problem is a human body. We we mostly stand. Yeah, we function. We have grown up from more crouched versions. If you see through a theory of evolution, I don't think we just dropped from heaven, or we just dropped from the skies. But in through our genes, through biology, if you would see, we evolved from something. We have a belly button to say that we came from another being. Yeah, so we emerge from what there is right now into having a life and a body. Yeah. So when we look when we so that's a fact. I'm speaking from the fact of us having a belly button. So we have emerged from what there is into a form from which we can now live and create by ourselves. Now, the problem with this heaven, earth, and hell model is with where we have placed heaven and earth. Now, when we are, as human beings, we have head on top and we have foot bottom, and we have a trunk connecting between the head and the foot. And when everybody is busy trying to go up, okay, there is more of a focus on intellect. There's a placement of where, when we talk about the different models of where the mind is, we say mind here. Okay, and you need to develop your mind so that you can be more you are more likely to be more purified versions, and so you can go to heaven. And if you are down and you're not so very and so you're not very pure in your intentions, because you would be more pelvis and foot oriented, and hence you're more likely to not find your versions to do good. So you should be up here and maybe even above. The problem is most people are not grounded. Everybody is so we have different versions of people who are sort of hip and above, so more brain and kind of a little hazy, kind of more floaty kinds. So we have people talking in terms of astral projections. We have people talking in terms of work from your imagination, visualization, also, and all these things, which is more then we hear about reality hackings and all of those things. Then what we are talking about here is brain and above the hip. So the problem with this is, when you're not grounded enough, you're not staying with the facts of the here and now. And the facts of here and now is felt from the feet, because you are walking on the ground. So that brings about a certain reality. You cannot hold on to air. You can feel the air, but when you're walking, you can feel something palpable through your feet. So there is fact. There's a certain basis on facts and how things are, rather than just working from how things could be, or or should be. The Buddha, coulda, shoulda life. Where it is more things. If things were like this, things could have been like this. So you're working more in past, present, future based on things, on experiences which is above the hip. When you're to be more grounded, if you see more athletes, if you see more dancers are still using different parts of the body. They may even be flying upside down. But people who seem to be able to do something in life have more of a grip on reality and facts. And then they are working from there's a dream, and then they are working from the reality of how things are. There's a palpability to it. And where do you feel something real and palpable is when you can feel it. And your feet is your place where it's really connected with something solid, versus even your arms, which is you can do things with it, but what you can feel is the air. And you can't hold the air, you can't do something with the air, you can't, even in terms of energy, you can't manipulate it like you would say a pot of clay. But with your feet, where you can feel it, you can do something about the ground. You can push it, you can pull it, you can move from there. So the problem with this heaven, earth, and hell model is when a large majority of people are more heaven bound, which means upwards, and to avoid hell, they are trying to not be grounded with their feet, because that is largely somewhere in our human psyche we place the hell down. So there is so much of a resistance to be on the ground, and more of a tendency for it to be all good to be above our hip. So we have more heady people, and more imagination than working from facts and reality. Now, I hope this is making sense to you, in the sense of we perhaps need to look a little more closely at our idea of good and bad, light and dark, right and wrong. Maybe there is a little prejudice towards the good, to the extent that we are completely negating, completely trying to avoid and go away from what is called as bad, because they are all bad things, and the tendency is to go towards the good, and we are struggling between the two poles of good and bad, right and wrong, light and dark. We are tending to move towards the light, but the fact is life moves between birth and death, between light and dark. Even day and night alternates. It's like a production house. If something gets created, after it's being created, there is bound to be precipitates. So those precipitates needs to be cleared. So clearing, if you're going to call clearing as bad, okay, clearing is something that no longer serves a purpose, needs to die. Only then there is space created and something new can get created. Now, if you're going to call dying as bad, then you have a lot of space getting clogged. And when there is space clogged, there is no space for something new to form. So we may be making death, we may be making dark, bad, as all bad, and hence we are not doing something about it. So we have this called as the good ego and the bad ego. We have even the idioms of the good wolf and the bad wolf, the struggle and strife between them. And we are tending to move towards the good, but not seeing the bad. The point I'm making here is, maybe we need to look a little bit at what we're seeing as good and bad. Maybe there is some amount of bad in too much of good. And maybe there is some amount of good in what we are terming as bad. And because matter and energy, they move between, yeah? After a certain point, matter becomes energy, and after a certain point, energy becomes matter. So maybe we need to look at both sides of the coin and appreciate what they are, look at what they are, so that we can see the benefits, the pros and cons of what is called as good, and the pros and cons of what is called as bad. And then we can come to a balancing between the two. Happy discoveries. May our practice bring us peace, and maybe share the learnings and share the discoveries from looking into things that really needs to be looked into, and share the value and the benefit that may not just be for us, but maybe even for the world at large. So happy insights and happy journeys.